Hey everybody, Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. In fact, over 1 million homeowners took advantage of refinancing or buying a new home with Rocket Mortgage. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase again, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. With an official mortgage review from Rocket Mortgage, you'll see just how much money you could save by making a move right now. Don't look back over these next few weeks and wish that you had taken action. You could save hundreds on your mortgage payments or pay off your home loan earlier than planned. You could even take cash out of your home to pay off high-interest debt, complete home repairs, or bulk up on an emergency fund. When you want to secure a low rate, Rocket can. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com. Rocket.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Good morning, everybody. Kicking off the week with another Roto Grinders MLB Morning Grind. I'm your host, Justin Carlucci, alongside a Boogie. What's up, Andre? How are you?
What's going on? Doing pretty good. Just trying to make it to another day and end this losing streak. But, if not, then hopefully next weekend we'll get that big one and end it for sure.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen Drizzy on top of that leaderboard in like 2 weeks. So I wanted to do like a home health check on you because you've been on such a heater this season and you've been dropping some great insight and all the MLB stuff. I tuned into some of the Grinders Lives you're popping in on, and congrats on a crazy season so far and big week for you flying out to Colorado. Are you excited?
Yeah, definitely excited. A little nervous at the same time because it's my first live final, baseball live final, but nonetheless, it's always great to, be in a room full of great DFS players and have the opportunity to compete for a lot of money. So I'm looking forward to it and going to enjoy it. Never been to Colorado, so I'm going to try to have a good time. And if you got since we always talk about food, if you got any good food spots I need to check out, let me know. Slide in my DMs so I get to go check it out when I'm out there for sure. So I'm definitely going to be eating with my friends out there.
Yeah, walk me through your situation. How many seats do you have? How did you get them? And I've been to 2 NBA live finals, no MLB yet, but what's the atmosphere like at these things, man? And talk to me about the energy and just being at the live final with all these, the best players in the world and everything.
It's actually pretty amazing. The best one actually I've been to so far was the Fantasy Live Final. That probably is not I give it a PG-13 version of it, but it was a great experience. Nonetheless, shout out to FanDuel for that. But it's just great, like I said, to be around players around DFS players who think just like you, who are smart and pick their brains about their process a little bit, just to figure out like, hey, how can you get better? And that's one thing I like is that most people are willing to just always help you out and share the information because that's how you get better. And we all here to get money at the end of the day. And even though you might know some of the steps of what they do, is you're still on you to make the right lineups to win. So you still got to put in the work too at the same time and do the research. So it's just great though. Like I said, it's fun. It's always a great time, and I'll hope to look forward to getting to some more ones and hopefully cashing out when we get to football season coming up, since I've never been to that one, and I know that one's going to be a lot tougher.
Yeah, for sure. So how many seats do you have for this weekend coming up?
I got 3.
Oh man, I got some flexibility there, Dre. That's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. And is it 160 people? Is that how many entries are or something like that?
It's 125. So
okay.
Or 125 lineups, I should say, but
right.
I don't know who has the most. I don't know, but I think 3 gives me a little bit of some flexibility, like you said. And me, I try to look ahead, so I think it's going to be like a 5-game slate, but I'm not sure if it's going to be on Saturday night or if they're going to do it a little bit earlier. But if it is, then I feel like guys should be fine to be on my wheelhouse and be able to find some leverage and hopefully bring it home.
Yeah, 5 game slate for a live final would be kind of weak. A lot of times for the live finals, they kind of run a custom slate of their own, like so maybe they'll put something, something different together that might not be in the DK or that FanDuel lobby or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. Do the Rockies have a home game while the finals
Oh,
going on?
yeah, they do. We're going to actually. I think what the schedule is, we're supposed to be going to the Coors game on that Friday. They play the Diamondbacks that day.
Wish Andre the best of luck. Hit him on Twitter. Give him some food spots while he's out there in Denver. Bring it home for RG, man. That's awesome stuff. Good luck.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Twitter name is BX Boogie Dre. Don't be afraid to slide in there. Let me know what food spots are there.
Slide in the DMs and give him some good recommendations. And you know what? Let's look ahead though to Monday, right? I mean, we have a decent little slate. And we'll give you a look ahead here. And I think right off the rip here, one of the biggest things and the most expensive arm is Garrett Cole's coming back. The Yankees are at home taking on the Angels. Unsurprisingly, Cole is a heavy favorite. Jose Suarez on the bump for the Angels. The Yankees are projected, a little over 5 Vegas total here. And the Angels a little over 3. So not too much there. I mean, what are your thoughts on Cole coming back? Have you read anything, or do you have any feeling? Will there be any restrictions, do you think, with him? Or, what's your instant reaction here with Garrett Cole back on the mound on this slate?
I don't know yet. I'm going to wait to see what I hear tomorrow. 10 nights is a steep price to pay for one DK, but he was out for COVID. So I really just want to know how bad was this? Like, did he have any symptoms, or was it just like asymptomatic? Because that's kind of important, because if you don't have your win, then I might want to try to target a little bit of the Angels side, just because I know they've been playing a little bit better lately, and they will be able probably to get to him a little bit, because he might not be able to go as long as he normally would be able to, and might be vulnerable to have a couple runs, especially in a park like Yankee Stadium, where Shohei Ohtani, where when he was out there the last time, he put on a show for the couple games he was there. So I can see myself getting to him for sure, but I want to try to figure out, like I said, tomorrow, based on the news that comes out on how he was during quarantine and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely, check out some Yankees beat writers, get some input, check out Grinders Live, Crunch Time, all that stuff on RG here. On the flip side, I'm assuming there's probably no interest in Jose Suarez, even for a cheap punt. Like, if you're running 150 lineups, are you still X-buttoning him?
Yeah, I am definitely. It's not like, we know the Yankees are a high strikeout team. I get that, but they're not a bad team at all. They're a really good team. So I cannot get to know Jose Suarez at all.
Listen, man, I know FanDuel is just a play whoever you want site. Like, the Yankees are set up to be mega chalk. Looking at this FanDuel pricing, Gallo 38, Luke Voit 2,900, Odor's 2,900. Stanton's not even 4K. LeMahieu's 3,500. Judge is the only bat over 4K in what projects to be their starting lineup, which is kind of just ludicrous against a terrible pitcher. On DK, you're going to have to pay for some of these guys, right? Yeah. Joey Gallo's priced up at least. Luke Voit is very fairly priced still, as Odor is. So I know, just thinking ahead here, you think these Yankee bats will be popular on both sides, definitely on FanDuel, I think. But what are your thoughts here? I mean, if you're going up for Garrett Cole, like, you might not be able to afford a full Yankee stack on DK kind of thing here. So I guess it depends on lineup construction, but I would assume there's going to be a lot of interest in these power bats in the Yankees.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. I want to try to get some. I don't know how much I'm going to have them. I do expect them to be somewhat popular. Especially in the good hitting park. And I think the weather tomorrow was supposed to be 77 degrees, 65% humidity. So a little bit humid, but not too bad. So the ball might carry a little bit more, but not so much. But I'll have a decent amount of them. They're just expensive, but price never really mattered to me. So I'll probably definitely have a couple main second primary stacks, but I'll try to squeeze like 2 or 3 bats in as secondaries for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, are people going to be afraid of the left? Everybody's afraid of the lefty. I tell you what, I'm still going to have Gallo shares against Suarez. We were talking before the show about how to get different and this and that. And you know what? It's like, just play the bottom of the lineup in some of these, GPP type mindset stacks you're kind of creating. If you're I get it. If you're single entering and you don't want to run a 5 through 8, like I totally get it. But data shows that the bottom of these lineups, oftentimes can come close to matching the top of the lineups, if not outscore them. And when you have a lineup like the Yankees, where there's just a lot of pop power, I mean, Odor hitting 6, and even Higashioka, has some pop. I'm not a huge fan of Jonathan Davis and whoever is Velasquez starts at the 8, or if it's Tyler Wade, whoever. Like, I get it. Maybe if you're playing FanDuel, you want to play pure power upside, and that's not where you want to go. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind like playing like the 5 through 7 here. If you're thinking, oh, the top of this Yankee lineup's too chalky, go Odor, go Higashioka and DK, get a little bit different. And sometimes the best lineups don't feel the best when you hit that submit button. You have to be, I don't want to say you have to play a little bit unafraid, in GPPs, play some things you're not cool with, probably won't project the best, right? Some of the lineups, the highest upside, don't always optimally project the best. So I guess, both sides here. Talk to me about, do you have any favorite bats in this Yankee side? And is there anybody other than Ohtani? Garrett Cole, he might strike out 10, but he gives up some fly balls, might give up a bomb or two.
Yeah, so definitely. My favorite bat of the Yankees is going to be Luke Voit at 3.6K on DK. That's just a little bit too cheap for him, I feel. And we know how he can hit, especially if he's going to be in that lineup tomorrow. I just like the price, and I love the spot that he's in, right there in the heart, in the middle of the lineup. So I'll definitely look to get into some of him as a one-off, or even just in my stacks for sure. And obviously, on the other end, you got to go with Shohei Ohtani. It's my favorite on the Angels side. Well, 6K is expensive for him, but we already know what he can do. Righty, lefty, he should be able to hit this out the park, especially if Garrett Cole is not 100%, or maybe doesn't have his win back. So I actually do like getting to a little bit of the Angels, like maybe like 1 or 2, maybe the most 4 lineups, maybe 5, depending on how many lineups I'm running tomorrow. But no more than 5 for sure, like mini stacks, or even a full stack of the Angels, just in case, because you never know. Garrett Cole can have bad games. He has had a few bad games this season. And yeah, I understand the appropriate price, but there's nothing that really scares me yet with Garrett Cole as far as him coming back from COVID, unless he just pitches amazing and outstanding, then in the back shows that he's back to being his regular normal self. So, but Shohei Ohtani for sure, number 1. I definitely like, obviously, Jared Walsh as a lefty too in this lineup. Even like Fletcher too. The top half is pretty good. And if you're against the bottom half, Brandon Marsh is one of my favorite. It's a good guy too at 2.3K on DK. So I would just probably use that as like a mini stack or something like that. Tomorrow at probably low to no ownership.
Yeah, and you know what? Suarez has been pretty bad this summer. He was pretty good in May, pretty good in June. We're talking small-ish sample size here, but 5.8 ERA in July, and so far in August, 5.7. He's given up 18 runs across his last 28 innings, 28 hits across his last 28 innings. So he's given up at least a hit per inning here, 11 walks. So, Yankee Stadium, tough task here, and that ball will probably be flying out. So interesting game to kind of start off the slate. A lot of ownership on the mound and in the batter's box. So let's move on here. We have Atlanta at Miami. We got Tukey against Braxton Garrett. And you know what? Talk about these arms here. Tukey's kind of been all over the map. A couple weeks ago, he had that big 10K game out of nowhere. And this is a guy who was a pretty highly touted prospect in the system. Hasn't really gotten it together in the majors. Then he got hit around a little bit, right? So the 10K, dominant performance wasn't really the coming out party, but we know what he's capable of. We know the K rates of this Miami lineup. We know who they're rolling out. It's not pretty. But on the flip side, there's been a couple of games the last 2 weeks where these Marlins have been in some GPP winners. You got lose Brinson about 5 or 6 years too late, but better late than never, right? The guy's finally coming alive here. So talk to me about the arms in this game, and then we'll talk about some bats.
Yeah, Tukey Toussaint, I definitely have some GPP interest in him for sure. Going against Miami, I know he's very volatile, but I like that. I don't mind it at all. We'll definitely have some of him tomorrow for sure. Braxton Garrett, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to him at all. Just not someone I'm interested in. I like the Atlanta side a little bit in this matchup too, even though it's gonna be more in a pitcher's ballpark. I'll probably have a little bit of Atlanta. Not one of my favorite teams to get to on the slate, but definitely just gonna, like I said, try to roster Tukey more than anybody else as far as in this game.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with you. I think he's too cheap on FanDuel, 7,900. You got guys like Rich Hill above him, Wade Miley is 8,800, and Tukey's down there at 79. And I get it. Miley is having just an anomaly year. He doesn't really strike people out. Throws like 87 miles an hour. I don't know how it's happening. I look at FanGraphs and look at the metrics, and I still just don't know. I don't know how he's doing it. I'm just waiting for that implosion game with Wade Miley. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Plus, he has the Cubs. We'll get to that, though. But what I'm saying is, in my head, I value Tukey kind of higher than some of these pitchers that are priced ahead of him on FanDuel. And on DK, just looking at this thing as a whole here, I see him at 8,400, and then Frankie Montas is the next pitcher above him at 9,500. Man, I'll take Tukey in that matchup, who's just kind of sandwiched between, Frankie Montas, and then it's like Wade Miley, Rich Hill. Quantrill's been pretty good. I get it, but Tukey's just at that kind of generous price point on this slate. It seems like he'll fit with a lot of bats you kind of want to get in there. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking more so that, but also just because I know, Miami can definitely have a lot more strikeout upside than what they have been playing with. Even though they've been playing, like I said, like you said, the past couple of games, we know who they are. They trade a lot of their few of their good players away. So I don't see no reason why we can't attack this lineup, even though it's not the worst, but it's still bad.
It's pretty bad. I mean, you see those K rates, and some of these young guys have been playing pretty good lately, but those strikeout rates, I mean, anytime you have Jorge Alfaro getting 4 to 5 at bats, and as good as Brinson is, he's still going to K a lot. Aguilar, big power guy, but he's still going to strike out quite a bit. So I think Tukey will be pretty popular, but I think rightfully so. About the bats, though, let's say Tukey comes in at 35% and you're multi-entering. Is that where you would maybe consider getting some leverage, Andre?
Well, I learned my lesson from Friday. I will definitely have some leverage.
You can play both sides here, right? You can have Tukey and then pair some Miami bats with some other pitchers you like if you're multi-entering. And if that's not your style, some people multi-enter, they go all in on one pitcher, two, whatever. I get it, but I kind of like playing both sides in my head here. It's I can see both outcomes happening. Talk to me about these bats here.
Yeah, I could definitely see both sides of it happening for sure. I don't think a lot of people, Miami will be owned a little bit, but not heavy. I don't think so. Miami, I like getting to a little bit of them in tournaments for sure. They're definitely a tournament play. I learned my lesson definitely from Friday when Miami just destroyed the slate. And I wasn't expecting that at all. No one was probably expecting it. But it makes sense. The data was there to support it. So I do like getting to some of these bets. Chisholm at 4.2K is not that bad of a price. Brinson, who's been hitting great lately at 2.3K, that's probably a little bit too cheap for what his production is and how he's been playing lately as well. So I definitely don't mind the righty matchup. Doesn't bother me, nor the neither does the lefty when it comes to having Braxton Garrett on the other side and going against guys like Freddie Freeman, who I do like a lot too in that lineup. Pretty much Atlanta 1 through 8 is pretty much good. You can use anyone in that lineup, and I think you'll be fine. For Miami, I would go more so 1 through 6. But also have a little bit of maybe a De La Cruz, because he's been hitting pretty decent lately too as well. So I think he definitely has the potential to exceed his price point at 2.5K.
Yeah, and just looking at that Miami lineup, they only have 2 guys in their projected starting lineup with K rates that are under 26%. That's terrible, and their walk rates are atrocious. So I can see Tukey's projected ownership increasing throughout the day as he gets more, attention. But great matchup. I agree with your take on the Atlanta side. the first 4 or 5 will be popular, but they made some really underrated moves at the deadline. And now that Travis Darno's back, like
Exactly.
you get to Darno, you get to Duval Darno as your 6-7. I mean, that's a pretty deep lineup now. Despite not having Acuna, they'd be hella scary if they had Acuna in that squad too. So I don't mind, Duval and Darno have serious power, and obviously they're going to carry a lot less ownership than guys at the top. So this is a situation where, I don't mind playing like a Swanson, Duval, Darno secondary or something like that. I think there's some upside there too. So I'm with you. Miami's Park, not the best, but the matchup's great. So it's kind of, whatever your opinion there is on how much you weigh ballparks into consideration, but the matchup's definitely there. Anything else, or should we go on to Baltimore and Tampa Bay?
I think we can move on to the next one.
All right, let's get it. So Matt Harvey's on the slate. So against Tampa Bay.
No, we're not playing Matt Harvey.
We're not playing Matt Harvey. That was a quick one, right? That was a quick one. Tampa Bay, Colin McHugh's projected opener, probably going to pitch a few innings. He's a pretty good pitcher. He's having a decent season. I think he was on the IL for a little bit. I don't really have a ton of interest in Baltimore bats. I guess I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So we're not doing Matt Harvey. McHugh is probably an opener, 7,100 on DK. Like I don't know how much he's going to pitch. So
McHugh is opener for Tampa.
That's what I'm seeing.
McHugh. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I thought I saw something else for a second, but I was like the wrong screen.
No, it's all good. I'm just looking at his game log. He hasn't pitched more than 2 innings after missing some time as well. So we're gonna not talk about pitching in this game. So let's talk about some bats, right? We're not using either of these guys in our player pool.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure not. Nope.
So we thought the Yankees were going to carry a lot of ownership, but anytime Matt Harvey's on the slate, what do you think about Tampa Bay here? Are we talking about more chalk than some of these Yankees? I mean, geez, Nelson Cruz righty doesn't matter. Then you have 3 lefties around him in that 1 through 4: Brandon Lau, Austin Meadows, and G-Man Choi, everybody's favorite value play. Pretty much every time he gets a bad righty. So, what do you think about these Rays? And do you think they'll come in at higher ownership than the Yankees?
I don't think so, just because I know some of the Yankees have a little bit better pricing, or at least on DK, and price matters to people, so I can't see it. But Matt Harvey, I mean, I don't even know how much of the Tampa Bay Rays I want to have myself, honestly, but I do want to get some bats against him for sure. I love the spot for Brandon Lau and Austin Meadows. Meadows more so in particular. I just think that he should be able to have a monster game in this matchup against Matt Harvey and even Nelson Cruz and Wander Franco, like on a daily basis. We know what they can do for sure. So I like getting to them a good amount, but I probably won't be overexposed to them. I'll probably be at the field, not a little bit maybe below on Tampa Bay.
Dre, it's been a while since Matt Harvey actually got destroyed. You go back to April, beginning of the season, he was getting slaughtered. He went through a stretch in July where he actually had 3 starts with 6 innings and no earned runs in all of them. And that was, I guess anything's possible in 2021. But even in the Yankees, he made it through 4 innings a couple of weeks ago. Only gave up 2 runs though. Or no, he didn't make it through 4 innings. My mistake. Yeah, 4 innings, 2 earned, and then Detroit 5 innings, 3 earned. So he gave up some runs, but that's not going to get you there if you're stacking against him. You got to hope the bats get to the bullpen. So dare I say that Harvey's been better than advertised, than the public perceives him to be over the past 4 to 5 weeks. So maybe that will. I mean, he's still Matt Harvey, and he's still not good. And Tampa Bay's been pretty solid, offensively lately. So maybe you're right. Maybe some people will pump the brakes on Nelson Cruz and company here. What do you think? Is Matt Harvey an average pitcher now, or is he still terrible?
I think he's still terrible.
That's politely put, yeah.
That's just the best way to put it. He's not that great of a pitcher, I think, anymore. I get the last couple of games. I mean, the games in July, where he was pitching probably out of his mind and had probably a throwback into how it used to be in the good old days, especially at those prices. But at 6.3K, that's a fair price for him, but I want him to at least get 15, and I don't think he can get that in this matchup. against the Tampa Bay Rays. So I rather just not even dare try to take a chance with it, even though it is probably a better ballpark for pitching, if that means anything. But I can't do it.
I'm not pitching him. I was just thinking, bats wise, maybe people go, oh, Matt Harvey's not so bad. Well, against Detroit, 5 innings, 3 earned, which is not the worst, but he gave up 8 hits and walked 3. So he probably got pretty lucky with that. That couldn't have been worse. Like 8 hits, 3 walks, and 5 innings is pretty bad. So he was, there was a lot of guys left on base, it looks like, in that one. And the box scores don't always tell the whole story, and the game logs, behind what happened. So I do like Tampa Bay though. So they're in a decent spot.
He might also though be giving up a lot of hard. He might not be giving up a lot of hard contact in the past 30 days. So that's something I'm going to try to dig into tomorrow. If he's giving up more ground balls to hard contact, that could be to why he might be actually obviously limiting runs and limiting home runs and upside through that. So that's something that I'm going to dig into tomorrow to find out, because that's going to dictate, I think, to me at least, how much I really want to be on Tampa Bay as far as the stack wise.
Sounds good. Let's move on. Cubs and Reds at the Great American Ballpark. You got Wade Miley at home against Justin Steele. Wade Miley 8,200 on DK. Steele is 54. So we know what the Cubs situation is. It's kind of similar to Miami. Young guys, all the centerpieces of the last decade are gone. It's really weird not seeing Chris Bryant and Rizzo and Baez. 60 days ago, they were like a 500 ball club, and they went from maybe we'll sneak into a wild card to getting rid of absolutely everyone. So it's just strange to see this lineup here. High K rates. There are some guys with some power in that team. The Cubs, another team who nobody ever wants to play because, really, when Matt Duffy and Frank Schwindel, and who's Frank Schwindel, right? Journeyman minor leaguer with some power. Like, these guys are actual guys in people's player pools now. I get it. But they have been in some GPP winners the last week or two. Are you pitching Wade Miley? Do we know who Justin Steele is? I'm kidding, but the Cubs are just a train wreck. So what are you doing with either of these guys, if anything?
I don't know. I really don't. Part of me wants to say yes, let's play Wade Miley a little bit, but what is he? He's 8.2K right tomorrow on DK. So,
yeah, 8.2 on DK.
I don't know if I can get behind it, because even when he I don't like game log watching either, but the last time he played the Cubs, he was about 15% owned. Only had 0.54 fantasy points. That's something that we weren't expecting. And he only made it through 4 in the third inning, or right there on the edge of it, or cusp of it, I guess. Allowed 7 hits, 5 walks, and 2 strikeouts and 1 home run. So he was allowing obviously people to get on base. So I don't know if I can get to him. I think he just might be too expensive. Even though we know that he does have he's been better, like you said, this year, but I can't do it. I probably can't. I'm trying to talk myself into playing him, but I can't justify a reason, honestly.
I'd much rather play Tukey in that price zone, right?
Yes.
Strikeout upside. Matchup is probably slightly better for Tukey too. Ballpark probably definitely better for Tukey. So he checks all those boxes. Listen, I could go out there against the Cubs and maybe have a quality start. I don't know. All I got is a slurve and a knuckleball though, but might get the job done, Dre. I don't know. It's one of those things, maybe you watch the ownership, on DK. If Tukey's carrying a ton of ownership and you're playing large field stuff, I don't mind having a couple bullets of Miley, but he doesn't have. It's tough to say he doesn't have a ton of K upside against the Cubs. If it was anybody else other than the Marlins, I'd say, I don't know. But the K rates are just through the roof here. So I don't know. Can you justify playing Miley in some large field GPP stuff?
Oh yeah, you can play anybody. As we have play whoever you want. You can play him in large field GPPs. I just don't think it's the right move to make, honestly. That comes out, like you said, it's not that great, but they do have some power, and I actually could see myself getting to a little bit Bodie, Ortega, Hap, Wisdom. That like middle of that whole lineup, I love it. There's something about that is really good and a little bit balanced. So I can see myself getting to that a little bit, and they're cheaper too. When you're going to go to the top a little bit up, like with Duffy and Swindle. So yeah, I can't do it. I'd rather just play. I'd rather take my chance on the Cubs and have them see if they blow the slate up as opposed to going Wade Miley.
I'm just waiting for the Wade Miley implosion game, and I haven't really gotten it this season yet. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be the Cubs, right? This track of a Cubs roster is possible.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really humid too in Cincinnati tomorrow. So there you go. Might be better hitting weather too. That might be perfect.
Could be. I'm looking at his Fangraphs numbers and giving up a lot of medium contact, not a lot of soft contact. So, I mean, the barrel's getting on the ball. So, we've seen Frank. I know I made a Schwindel joke, but the guy has been hitting since he's been up, and he is a journeyman minor leaguer who is like, 240. I'm off the top of my head, I don't know, but like one of those 240 low average but high power hitters, right? He might strike out 4 times, but if he goes 1 for 5 with a 3-runner, like it is what it is. That's who Frank Schwindel is, and I could get behind some of these righties. You mentioned Bodie and some of these other guys in this lineup, so. I don't hate it. It's a good ballpark. Like you said, the weather's not bad there. So, and like, it's not like Miley's going to carry super ownership. So the Cubs aren't going to be like on anybody's leverage target here. So I think I'm with you. He does give up more hard contact to righties and lefties looking at plate IQ this season. So that kind of makes sense too. Doesn't give up a lot of fly balls at all. Like, this has to be a ball and play game kind of thing, probably like full stack or nothing.
Exactly. That's how I feel like it is. And those type of pitchers, that even though they're not I think she says like they're like better real life pitchers. He's not a fantasy pitcher this year. He's more of a keep the ball in play and not blow up kind of pitcher, I guess.
And he's gotten away with it so far this year, but eventually someone's going to put up a 10 spot when he starts. It would be funny if it was this Cubs team. Not fun. I mean, they're a team full of righties too. I mean, it's possible. We're not saying this is our favorite stack, but in large field stuff, I'm going to have some exposure if this is what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. I am too.
Cool. So we're in agreement there. Red side of things, I did see some notes, and I do have Jesse Winker on my season-long team, and he got pulled from the game on Sunday. So we know Winker is likely going to sit Monday. We'll have to see, but there's definitely going to be some Reds interest here, right? We don't know a ton about Justin Steele, but in his first outing, he only struck out 1 guy, so that's not a great sign, right? And that bullpen stinks. 5.5 Vegas total for Cincy at home. I like some of these Reds, Dre. What are you thinking here?
I do too. I like him, so especially when we have a game at quarters on the slate. So I like getting to some of the Reds. Votto, Castellanos, India, who's been hitting phenomenal since he's been in the leadoff spot. I love it, and even getting out to a guy like Kyle Farmer. And Stevenson, like those on the lower end, and Suarez and Aquino has a lot of power. He's batting 8th. Like that's crazy. Like, I just love getting to the Reds. They're one of my favorite stacks definitely on the slate, and I think I'm gonna probably be maybe overweight on them. So I don't think they might not get enough ownership.
Yeah, and if the weather's looking good, I mean, this could be could roll out some game environment stacks here, a little bit of both sides. I could see like a little Cubs secondary stack with some of these righty power guys. And so I think this game as a whole could make some sense. So I'm with you there. And the Cubs can give you some salary relief to get up to one of these stud pitchers if that's the way you want to go.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, Houston and Kansas City, Dre. We got Houston on the road. Jake Odorizzi throwing 7,300 on DK. Now that seems like a friendly price tag, and he is 7,300 on FanDuel. Interesting. And Kansas City, Carlos Hernandez, 6,600. Houston has a 5.9 Vegas total right now, run total. The Royals have a 4.7 total. Wow. This is a game where I think we found, two potential popular cheap pitchers here. Odorizzi, solid, had a stretch where he was really good. Don't love the matchup for him. In my opinion, Kansas City doesn't K a lot, but he's really cheap. And if you want him, if he gives you 6 decent innings as an SP2, he doesn't have to strike out a ton of guys at 7,300, right? Carlos Hernandez on the other side, this guy's been quietly kind of just like getting it done lately. I mean, 15 DK points against the Yankees, almost pitched 7 innings, only had 3 Ks, but kind of limited damage. Looking at the back-to-back White Sox games, he pitched in a couple of weeks ago. Got through 5 innings, both of them, 6 Ks, 4 Ks. So he's played some strikeout heavy teams, and really hasn't flashed a ton of K upside. Now he gets Houston, who don't really strike out a lot. So this is going to be a very telling game for Carlos Hernandez, I think. What kind of pitcher he is. Is he kind of like a poor version of, poor version of Wade Miley? I don't know how poor you can get, but like, is he a guy who can just limit the damage and, limit that hard contact? Cause he's not going to strike out a lot of Astros either. So this is a really interesting, pitching matchup, especially for DFS purposes here. What are you thinking, Dre?
Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know either. Either team strikes out a lot, and I usually don't target against them.
Yeah, but I like the price for these pitchers.
Yeah,
it's an appealing price. The matchups aren't great. I'm probably gonna have some of both, honestly, and just take my chances. But the hitting on both sides is just so amazing. Like Hernandez, like you said, he's been quietly pitching well in tough matchups. So, and at 6.6K, if he can give me like a 20, like give me even to like 15, 20 in this matchup, and a tough matchup against the Houston Astros, and they haven't in the past a couple games they haven't been hitting that well, but I can see it happening, and I'm gonna have to play it. I'm just gonna play it. I'm just gonna have a little bit of exposure on both sides and just call it a day. It's hard not to, honestly. Some things you can hedge, some things you can, but this is one thing I think you have to probably play both sides of it if you're multi-entering.
I think these are DraftKings SP2 plays. I don't think if I'm playing FanDuel, I don't know which site I'm gonna play it on Monday. But if I am playing FanDuel, I don't think either one will be in my pool just because the K upside is not there. You got any thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100% with that. That is a fact. Like I'm playing DraftKings strictly tomorrow. So I'm chasing a couple seats. But I don't think that they are definitely not a FanDuel play. It's definitely a strictly DraftKings play, especially at their prices.
I'm curious to see kind of where Houston checks in terms of ownership and where they rank in the pecking order.
They should be probably number 3, I would think.
Yeah, because you see Hernandez is a young guy who doesn't K a lot of guys, but he's kind of been cruising along. You always love targeting against low strikeout pitchers. So I think Houston will be pretty popular too. The park isn't, Kansas City, not a great park, but I could see either one of these offenses. You can make a case for playing large field stuff. As good as Odorizzi was when he came back right off the bat, he hasn't been anything to write home about either the past, 3-4 weeks. But yeah, I think a lot of these Astro bats are squarely in play if we're multi-entering here. I think of Yordan Alvarez right off the bat. It's the first guy I kind of think of. Just kind of want to get some of these lefties, I think, against Hernandez if you're looking at some Houston bats.
I agree. Everyone in that lineup, Carlos Correa probably might be one of my favorites, as well as, like you said, Yordan. I can't go wrong with that. And Michael Brantley at 3.3K. He's too cheap. Just play him. Play him in as many lineups as you can. I just like the price. It's too cheap for him on DK.
Yeah, for sure. How about Jake Myers? I mean, this kid in the minors who came up, I didn't think he'd come up so soon. I was actually looking at trying to stash him in. I've been playing in a high stakes Atlantic City league for quite some time. You know what Jake Meyers' numbers were in the minors? Anybody, in case you don't, this season he hit 343 in the minors, 16 homers, 10 stolen bases, and 270 at bats. So the kid arguably was the best hitter in the minor leagues. Like the rich get richer with Houston. And is he really min price on DK? Is that what we're looking at here? If that's right, then man, I mean, you can make a lot of things happen. I mean, even McCormick at 2,200. Is that right? Is he really that cheap? Man, I mean, you can do a lot of different things with mixing those two guys in some Houston stacks. And even if you play them as one-offs or secondaries, man, that is some serious value there.
Yeah, I agree. I love that Jake Myers plays a one-off at the mid price. It's just, oh my gosh, this allows for so much to happen in your lineups.
Definitely. You know what? Anybody you singling out on Kansas City, I like Odorizzi is just kind of, he's probably going to fall in the middle of pitchers I want to attack, which oftentimes is where you find the GPP winners because, you know, he doesn't often get shelled, but he's really not one of the top 9 or 10 pitchers on the slate probably. So kind of usual suspects on Kansas City mixed in your player pool, or do you have any interest at all?
No, like you said, the usual for sure is what I would be on. Wouldn't be nothing too crazy. I like the pretty much like 1 through 7 pretty much is what I would be targeting mainly. I might, and maybe against some Michael Taylor who I like a decent amount. So not really a big fan of Rivera. But everyone else in that lineup, I think I could definitely get in there from somehow, some way.
While we have this quick little break, get on over there to prizepicks.com, folks. Prize Picks is awesome, kind of bringing a new dynamic to daily fantasy and betting on props and just some really cool stuff. And our guy, Chief Will Priester, has been crushing it over there, and he does some Prize Picks videos over here in RG. So definitely give Chief a follow too. He's always bringing the heat for some Prize Picks. Moving on here, we got Frankie Montes, 9,500 on DK at Chicago, the White Sox, and Dallas Keuchel, 6,900. And boy, it's just how the mighty have fallen over the years with Dallas Keuchel. And I feel like every time Keuchel pitches, he's a shoo-in to give up 2 or 3 runs kind of thing. Like, he just doesn't, go 8 innings and shut anybody out anymore. So I guess I don't like that price tag on Montes. Like, I get it. Like, he's flashed 30-point DK upside this season. And the White Sox, do strike out, but they're like as hot as white lightning lately, the White Sox are. So I just don't know if I can get behind that price tag of 9,500 with Frankie Montes. And that's just kind of my first reaction here looking at this. What do you think, Trey?
Well, I personally think I can. I know the matchup isn't the best. It's a difficult matchup against the White Sox. But like you said, the one thing that I try to take into consideration is the strikeouts, how much upside do they have with that. And no one in that lineup has below about 22% pretty much strikeout.
Yeah.
So like 25.7% overall looking at player IQ as far as what the strikeout percentage is for the team that's projected in their lineup supposed to be for tomorrow. I know he has this problem with a little bit against lefties. We know he's going to have Cesar Hernandez, Goodwin, Lamb, and Collins as main bats as for lefty, and Moncada. No one really scares me besides maybe Moncada. Goodwin has a little bit of power too. So, but that's the thing. You have the power. You have to be able to hit it out the park. And I just don't trust it enough. So I'm gonna have a little bit of both sides, but I think I like Montas in this spot for sure. He's been consistent for the most part this year. So I like taking a chance. And Keuchel, 6.9K is tempting with the price. But I like Oakland bats. They hit the ball really well, and they're still playing for something and trying to get to the playoffs. So I like that for sure.
Yeah, just looking at plate IQ here, and one of the few pitch starters in the league that throw a splitter pretty frequently, and that's actually effective. Obviously, we know what Kevin Gausman's been doing with that pitch this year. But having that pitch that you don't often see too much, anymore as a major league hitter is a cool tool to have in your pocket. And, depending on, I guess I want to see the White Sox lineup and who they're going to roll out. But I totally get it. He's actually striking out over 30% of lefties this year, which is interesting because last year he was only about 20%. So the K stuff's there. You're absolutely right. So I kind of want to see that lineup. But I totally get your stance too. It makes sense. Keuchel, I guess I have more interest like one-offing some power Oakland bats than maybe pitching Keuchel. If you're asking me which side of the ball do I like there, we know Oakland's full of power bats. Starling Marte has been really good since he's came over. But Keuchel, another guy who keeps the ball on the ground, which makes it tough to one-off, right? It's have to be an all or nothing kind of game typically. So I'm probably going to be pretty light on Oakland. I mean, he's given up a ton of hard contact, Keuchel is. He's over 40% to both sides of the plate, but he's been really good at keeping the ball on the ground. That being said, he's not striking anybody out. So knowing all that, like, what are your thoughts on the Oakland bats?
I actually like Oakland as a sneaky stack. Like Keuchel doesn't scare me. I understand with the strikeout ability he has and how he's pitched before in the past, but
yeah,
Canna, Marte, even Matt Olson, the lefty, Lowry, Chapman at number 7, Piscotty, like these guys, they all have power, they all can hit. So I don't mind getting to them for sure for tomorrow.
Yeah, I like some of these righties, and I know they have Yan Gomes now too, and I think he's a lefty sinker masher, one of those. So I think Yan Gomes could be an interesting play if he's in the lineup against Keuchel too. So I think some of these power bats are playable for sure.
Oh yeah,
couple games left here, Dre, on the docket tonight. Cal Quantrill been pretty good lately, 7,800 on DK with Cleveland as they take on Minnesota with Griffin Jacks, who man, what a game he had recently. 10 Ks against the White Sox, his last start. Even the start before that, he struck out 8 Astros who don't K a lot. The case, I'm sorry, he struck out no Astros. That was the point I wanted to make. So, like, what are you taking away from this 10K game against the White Sox? I'm very conflicted here. He's so cheap that I'm willing to throw a couple darts on multi-entering, but I just can't play a guy like this in single entry. I need to see some more, but the upside, I'll throw a couple 150 max entries in on Griffin Jacks.
Oh yeah, definitely. Both sides of this, I like taking some of the pitchers. 7.8K on Cal Quantrill has been pitching pretty well lately. He's definitely have a little bit of interest in Griffin Jacks too. He's been playing a little bit like probably above the ceiling, but he's been doing pretty well. And pretty decent, especially at 7K. That price. These are to me a little bit more so Griffin Jacks is a price we play. I'll have in my player pool, probably get a little of him and MMEs for sure. And Cal Quantrill, he might. It's Minnesota. The line was a lot weaker. I don't want to say he might be the real deal, but he's been pitching pretty well lately. So I'll definitely have some exposure to him, though, for sure.
Yeah, Quantrill's been really good lately, for sure. 7,800 on DK. That's fair. Not a great matchup with Minnesota. Griffin Jacks was a pretty good minor leaguer. For those who don't know his history, 5 seasons in the minors, 3.2 ERA. He had over 290 innings, 220 Ks. So not exactly a super K guy, but limited damage, struck out enough people. 3.2 ERA over almost 300 innings is a large sample size. So it just takes some time for these guys to get with it at the major league level. I mean, we saw Tukey K10 guys and then kind of just didn't bring it back the way everyone hoped he would. So we've seen kind of similar situations. 2 highly touted younger pitchers, who have upside, were good in the minors. I think you can make a case to have both of them, maybe not together, but I think that, they should both be in your pools to some extent here. So it's going to get interesting with some of these cheap pitchers, whether it's Oder Rizzi or Griffin Jacks. I guess you consider Quantrill at 78 kind of cheap too. So there are plenty of ways to go when you get under 8K on Monday's slate. And of course, Carlos Hernandez, when you're digging really deep. So you're going to see, some spread out ownership, I think, value-wise here, just as we're going through this slate.
Yeah, definitely, because pitching is not this is not the best pitching slate that we have. This is going to be one where you have to find just the right balance, find the right pitchers who are not going to get blown up, and just hopefully you just make it through.
So do you have any interest in any bats in this one? You could pretty much play Ramirez and Reyes on any given slate, right? Pretty much.
You definitely can for sure. They played pretty well today. I don't know if that will keep up. I might be having a little bit of mini stacks on both sides of this game for sure. Because with a run total, with a pretty much team Vegas total together of 9.4, that's pretty high for a baseball game. And you got the Twins putting up 5 and pretty much Cleveland almost at 5 too. So it's like almost a pick 'em in a way. So I will definitely have some exposure on both sides of this.
Yeah, if I'm 150 maxing, I almost want some Indians exposure just to say, all right, Griffin Jacks, run it back and prove it. Prove to me that like you're going to consistently bring it at this level now. And if it burns me with some teams, it burns me with some teams. Yeah, we know the Twins bullpen is horrible too. So if he only gets through 5 innings, or if he gets shelled, and then you get into that bullpen early too, and Cleveland put up a big number on Sunday as well. So I'm not saying the Indians are my favorite stack, but I kind of might want some prove it exposure against Griffin Jackson. He's one of those guys where I kind of want some of them in my pitching pool too. So we'll see.
Yep. I agree 100%.
I know you're excited about this Coors game that we're about to talk about. So let me just quick tell the people what we're looking at here. Ryan Weathers in San Diego, 6.4 Vegas total at Coors. And then you have the Rockies 5.7 total, and Antonio Senzatella at 6,800. Talk to me if you have any interest in any of the pitchers. If not, get into the bats right away.
Okay. Definitely do not have interest in none of the pitchers for sure. Like, we just skip to the bats, because unless you have interest in someone, but
nope, let it rip.
None whatsoever. This will probably be definitely the highest owned game on the slate for sure. I expect San Diego Padres to come in as a number 1 stack. Fernando Tatis is back. He made his grand return with the 2-homer game. I expect nothing different. I expect them to put up a great game and him to perform well tomorrow. But I absolutely love the Colorado side because it's Ryan Weathers that they're pitching against. This park is perfect. I know it's going to be 90 degrees here, so it's going to be pretty hot. The humidity is only at 19% projected, what I'm looking at, but I don't think it matters. Ryan Weathers is just a horrible pitcher. Just roster anyone from Colorado. I love all the spots. Like Connor Joe leading off is too cheap, 2.8K in this matchup against Weathers, in my opinion. Like Trevor Story, 5.4K is a great price. It's expensive, but I like what he can do. So does Brendan Rodgers. McMahon at the number 6 spot, lefty. I still love it. And this guy never gets enough ownership. But it's Elise, I think it's Ellis or Elias Diaz in the 7th spot. I know he's a catcher at 4.2K, but he never gets enough ownership, and I feel like he's a great play tomorrow.
Yeah, I love if you're going to punt the catcher, you got to love if you can pull it off at Coors. And I think it's one of these situations where everyone's going to love the Padres, and the Rockies aren't very good this year. They obviously score because they play in Colorado, and they're just kind of the second fiddle to the visitor usually. Mm-hmm. But Weathers being the lefty, you have a lot of these righties who hit lefties really well on Colorado as well. And this season, Weathers has given up 242 ISO to righties, only striking out 18% of righties, walking 10% of righties. But I think the big number here is 53% hard hit rate against righty batters. So that's just screaming Connor Joe, Brendan Rodgers, CJ Crone crushes lefties. And he's having a hell of a year. Crone might be having the best year in the league that nobody's talking about at all, right? I know he's in Colorado and I get it, but just he's tearing the cover off the ball. So I'm with you. I like these rocky righties, and you can even make a case for the lefties. And I can't, we can't argue you folks with roster and anybody on the Padres, because you know what? More likely than not, someone's going to do some damage over there. But I do like the Rockies as well. I think that's a great call, Dre. Got anything else here?
No.
All right, cool. So check out those Rockies. Curious to see where the ownership falls in some of these guys. And there could be a perfect candidate to what we were talking about earlier with, you know what, like the top of the order, everybody likes in some of these teams, but 5 through 8 still in play. Like if they project well as a team, I mean, it's possible.
No one, like, first of all, Colorado is lower owned to begin with, but no one plays that back half of the lineup at all. I've seen it too many times, and that's where they do a lot of their damage. Honestly, to me, from what I've seen, it's the back half of the lineup. So I'm gonna definitely play a lot of the back half tomorrow.
I like it. Good call. Got the Mets traveling to San Fran. Kevin Gausman, 10.1 on DK. Having a hell of a season. I don't know who's pitching for the Mets. Do you have any? Is it? Oh, it's Rich Hill. Is that who it is?
Rich Hill, supposedly, from what I was told, what I saw earlier.
Oh man, that's interesting. You know, he'll throw 5 innings tops, right, as usual, kind of thing. I guess I'll be quick. I have no interest in Rich Hill, but I have interest in Gausman tomorrow. What are your thoughts on the arms?
I agree with you 100%. I will not be playing Rich Hill at all. I will just be roster probably Gausman for sure, or not even probably, will be for sure against the Mets tomorrow.
Where does Gausman rank in terms of some of these high-end pitchers? Is he your favorite? Is he up there? Is it debatable?
Looking back on the slate now, he's going to be probably number 1 because Garrett Cole, I want to play him, but I still don't. Like I said, I wanted to see how situations with COVID, and this is probably an easier matchup for. Maybe not an easier matchup, but close enough. We'll see. But I say Gausman probably 1, Cole 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Gausman's been incredible this year, about a 30% K rate in general. Does give up some hard contact. So I get it if you need to one off like a P. Alonso or something, but I'm not running to do it. And I don't think Gausman's going to, again, carry enough ownership where I'm like, well, I need some Mets leverage. I don't think that's going to be the case tomorrow, but he's been really good. So I think he has a pretty safe floor, at home, Mets traveling. I like Gausman. I'm curious where Cole's ownership falls to. I guess depending on what his ownership is, will be like where I rank Gausman in the pecking order. I think Cole will be the most popular pitcher, but I don't think it's by a landslide. If I had to guess, it might be kind of close.
I agree with you. I don't think it'll be like too far out, but I think it will be close for sure.
So Rich Hill, this Giants team against Rich Hill, we know they have the lefties. Like they might have the most lefties in the league they can throw at you, the Giants. I don't know. Do you like any of these lefties? Obviously, I think Chris Bryant's in play as one of the power righties on this team. What are your thoughts on the Giants offense?
I like them. Their team, like, I don't know how much I'm going to get to them tomorrow, though. I can see myself having a decent amount of ownership of them, but nothing too crazy. I definitely like a couple of the teams more in favor, and I think they're a little bit better hitting conditions, especially in a better park too. But I'll probably have a little bit of Giants. But my favorite Giant, though, like you said, probably gonna be Chris Bryant. He just stands out to me as the best. I know they also got a couple of players that are injured too, so that might also reduce the ownership because I know Yaz is in the lineup. So yeah, I'll probably get some a decent amount. I'll be probably over the field, and it probably won't be that hard to get over the field on them, especially on a 10-game slate.
Good to see Evan Longoria back and playing again. He was having a pretty good year for one of the old dudes in the league now. We're getting old too, Dre. I remember when he came up with Tampa, but now, he's an elder statesman. So he actually had off Sunday, probably just a rest day. But I don't mind some of these righties. I don't know, like, if Chris Bryant's going to play some outfield or what. Like, I don't mind Longoria Bryant, but I'm not going crazy on Giants exposure. But I think, Rich Hill's giving up 45% hard hit to righties. So, you could warrant some righties, and he's not going to go more than 5 innings, so they're going to get into the bullpen as usual when he pitches. So I agree with you there. Let's move on to the last game here. We got Pittsburgh all the way out at LA. Not often you get to see them play the late night banger. Steven Brault, 7,600 on the mound for Pittsburgh. And who's throwing for the Dodgers? I don't have it in front of me here. Is there a projected starter? Let's see.
They said Edwin, you see that, I believe?
Man. So we have a couple of clunkers going late.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty much like a bullpen game. David Price, isn't David? I don't know, because I also saw when I was at the on the lineup page earlier for for FanDuel, I think David Price was in there as a starter, but I don't know.
He's been solid this year. You know what? I probably won't play much of Pittsburgh regardless. So I'm not going to play the pitchers, obviously, and hitting wise, like, I'm probably not going to play a ton of Pittsburgh.
I might play some Pittsburgh depending on who the pitcher is. Honestly, if it's this guy Edwin, I might play a little bit of Pittsburgh as a secondary stack only. I just want to know.
Yeah, secondary stack, I can get behind that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't know. I would have to wait to see till tomorrow to find out for sure. But I definitely like that for sure.
I like Brian Hayes. Brian Reynolds has been really good. I have a man crush on Rodolfo Castro. I think he'll be good, really good in a year or two. So I don't mind those guys. That'll probably be a bulk of my exposure if I do go some secondary there as well. And on the Dodgers side, I mean, Steven Brault's just not. I don't want to say horrible because we mentioned Matt Harvey and we mentioned Ryan Weathers in the horrible category. So let's go with not very good. He's like a slight notch above those other guys. So I do have interest with the Dodgers, and being a core slate, and we talked about 4 to 5 other teams we really like. I mean, is it possible the Dodgers come in a little lower and be in the 10 o'clock game, right? I mean, we might not have a lineup, so it might knock ownership down a little bit. So, like, where do you think the Dodgers come in, and how much do you like them?
They have a 6-run total. That's higher
it's pretty high. But we might not have a lineup, so it's an interesting situation we have here. Might not have a lineup by opening pitch is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but that's a third highest team total on the slate. I'm gonna have some Dodgers. I'm gonna. And like you said, no one plays the West Coast teams most majority of the time, unless they're like a fantastic spot. So I don't know if the Dodgers will be high on, especially like you said with Course 2. In addition to that, I definitely like the Dodgers. Like up and down this lineup is like murderers row and just 1 through 8. Even when you have a player that goes down, they can just slide someone else in that is just as good, if not maybe even better. So these lineups, it's just I want to get to it. And every city the Dodgers on, I'm going to have probably at least a little bit of exposure to them. So I can see myself probably being over the field on them for sure, and being my number one GPP team, especially if they come in at low ownership. Besides Colorado, which I don't know how high on they'll be, but I can imagine being one of the top 2 teams or 3 teams on the slate.
And I like that the Dodgers might be hard to get on DK too, because they're all priced up, and rightfully so. But Muncy's 5,500, Trey Turner's 5,500, Justin Turner's 5,200. Will Smith is 4,900. So if you're playing Scherzer, if you're playing Garrett Cole, like just for argument's sake, if you're playing Garrett Cole, and let's just say you plug in, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Who's one of your favorite value DK pitchers? Are we talking Odorizzi? Are we talking Griffin Jacks? Are we talking Hernandez from Kansas City? Give me a name here.
Jesus.
All right, well, let's just Hernandez is the cheapest one of the guys who we like, right?
I was say Hernandez is probably gonna be the cheapest one, and someone I would probably have the most interest in. Yes.
It's interesting. If you plug in Cole, you plug in Hernandez, and you plug in the three most expensive Dodgers, you only got 3,200 to work with per slot for the rest of your DK team. So you're going to be looking for value if you're playing some Dodgers, and that might deter some people not having the lineup potentially by the time main slate locks. And the run total is very high, and rightfully so. And Steven Brault stinks. So I'm with you. I like the Dodgers a lot, and I'm actually kind of glad it's a Coors slate, because if it wasn't a Coors slate, Dodgers would be very popular, and they might be the third, fourth, maybe fifth. I don't know how, somewhere in that range in terms of team ownership, but they're not going to be the first, which is good news for people who want to get a little bit different. They get off course.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually trying to play with it right now to see something real quick. Since you said that, you got me interested in finding out what can I do with that.
Yeah, you're going to be value hunting. If you want a full Dodgers stack, you're going to pay for it. I personally, I pretty much full stack 85 to 90% of the time when I put in tournament lineups. Every now and then I'll mix it up if it's a weird slate, but so you're paying for it, man. So I'm with you. I like the Dodgers a lot, and they're definitely one of my favorite offenses moving into Monday.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. I think you can still get a good team. I have some bats that I could work with and make it happen.
Definitely, for sure. I'm glad that both sites left Tatis as the most expensive hitter. At least he is on DK. Like, I'm glad there just wasn't any games with him being out, So rightfully so, Tatis and Coors is the highest priced hitter on DK, which is fine. Which makes the Ohtani pivot at 6K right below him kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
It's gonna be low. I honestly, I don't think he's gonna. I was thinking he's gonna be low, but because Ohtani and because he's in New York, and what he did last time in this spot against the Yankees, he might get some ownership.
I agree.
He's a great one-off option, though.
All right. I know Stevie plays the morning grind game, and I'm still pretty bad at it, where he asks you, give me a player that's going to, do XYZ. So I'll quick give you three props here kind of thing. We'll start with a pitcher, Dre. All right. Give me a pitcher under 8K that goes for 7Ks or more. Under 8K, which we talked about a handful of guys. And, we'll go 7Ks. 8 might be a lot if you could see something happening here.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Even though I don't like the matchup, actually, no, I wouldn't say it, because actually it could possibly happen. I'll say Griffin Jacks.
All right, I like that call. He's showing some upside. I'm gonna go. I like the Jacks call. I might stick with that game and kind of hope Minnesota rolls out kind of a like a half-assed lineup and go with Quantrill. We talked about that he's been pretty good lately. Okay, we'll move over to the hitters. I guess we'll go with this. Who is, or give me a home run call under 5K. I'll start looking through. I'm putting you on the spot hardcore here. I don't like being this guy, but give me a home run call under 5K. On DK? Does anybody catch your attention?
Under 5K.
I got mine, and we talked about him. He's in your Coors game. I'll tell you that. I'll just say it. I'll give you time. I like CJ Cron a lot tomorrow. I know you like the Rockies, and
I agree with that. CJ Cron's a great pick. I'm gonna say Diaz.
Oh, I like that. Going deep. So sticking with Coors, and everybody's always looking for a catcher, Dre. So I think you might be helping out the community a little bit with that call. I like it.
Oh, thank you. I hope so too. Like, if you play both sides of the game if you're playing tomorrow, but please definitely try to get overexposure to Colorado. If not, then I'll just probably win all the money, hopefully.
Well, I hope you do, and I hope you make a splash at the live final in Colorado. In Denver, maybe it's like good karma if you play the Rockies this week and then you go out there to Denver for the live final. Maybe things will come together. So, listen, man, best of luck to you. Where can the people find you on Twitter? If you got any good food or bar recommendations or anything to do out there in Denver, hit up Dre. He'll be out there representing Roto Grinders. Where can the people find you, Dre?
You can find me on Twitter at BXBoogieDre, or you can find me on Instagram at Drizzy26. That's what my screen name is on both FanDuel and DraftKings. And if you want to slide in the DMs to do a head-to-head too, I'm willing to play those as well. But yeah, definitely give me some food takes. Need some things to do while I'm out there for sure, and some good eats.
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining me on this Sunday night, Monday morning, and I will be rooting for you. And I'm sure you got some other Roto Grinders duties at some point this week, so I'm sure the people will catch you there. So for Dre, and best of luck at the live final, I'm Justin Carlucci. Good luck on Monday, everyone. Win some money.